Hi everybody, we're going to make a short video of making a cutting board, an end-grained walnut cutting board.
Okay, so we have a nice piece of walnut here. This piece is 5 inches wide and 112 long. So we're going to get 5 lengths out of this. So we're going to cut them 22 and a half so that we can cut this in the end all down to right at 22-ish inches. We're going to go from here to the miter saw. Here we go. We're going to cut these at about 22 and a half where we made the pencil marks before. Five pieces that are cut roughly 22 and a half inches long. We'll go from here. Okay, from here we're going to cut these the thickness of the board, of the cutting board. We have 5 pieces here. They're all about 5 inches wide. We're going to cut 3 1.5 pieces out of each of these boards. All of the pieces cut to width. Okay, after a little dusting off, we're going to have a little piece of some little flat work surface to work off of here. And then, now, okay, we have all of the pieces that are cut and ready to go here for this phase of it. So at this point what we're going to do is we're going to turn these all on their side. And so all these get glue on them. So we have glue. We're going to just start putting glue on all of these. Okay, now from here, we take a little paintbrush and we start spreading this glue around. So, from here, we start putting these okay. So, we'll line them up. Line them up as best we can. So we'll get clamps. And what we'll do is we're going to start clamping these together. Now. We're back. It is another day, and we're back with the cutting board that now the glue is dry. Okay, so now we have a board. What we're starting.
We have come to a place now called Bright Wood Works, Inc. to do the planing for the cutting board.
Okay, we now have a cutting board that we're going to cut. It's very flat, and we're going to cut the ends of this square so that we can then make more strips to turn and make these end grains face up and down. So end grains are the ends of the wood. So what we'll do, okay, now we measure back from that, 1 1/4 back, to put our straight edge, and then we our straight edge on right at that 1 1/4 mark. And there we have it. We are square on the edge. Now at this moment, if I did this to the other end and made the other end perfectly square, it would be just a very nice cutting board. But we are going to make it better. We're going to do an end grain by cutting this into strips that are about 1.5 inches wide, and we're going to turn them all and have the end grains be facing up. So we'll take a perfectly flat and smooth side here and bring it over to the table saw. Okay, we're back over at the table saw to cut strips of for the end grain cutting board. So. These have saw blade marks on them that will be sanded out. This is the end grain of the wood. So we're going to have these squares that are end grains, and some of these look, actually they all look very good. And once we sand out these saw marks, everything's going to look great. So I will continue with this and come back in just a few minutes. We have all these strips of wood now that we will glue together, and we'll come over to the work table and show you how that's going to be done. Right. We have all of these strips of wood with the end grains, and we're going to place these in positions that we're ultimately going to want to have our finished cutting board. From here, much like the last process, we take all of these, we turn them on their sides so that we can glue them together. Okay, we'll take a little bit of sandpaper to these to get anything loose off of them. And then we will start gluing. Okay, and then paintbrush again, and we just start spreading all this glue. And we start turning them in order to clamp them glued together. This will be the cutting board. I'm going to go get some clamps. Okay, now we're going to clamp these just like we did the last ones. The board has now been glued into the end grain cutting board.
Now a day later, the glue has dried and we're removing the clamps. Now the close-up of the board, you start to get the idea of the grains of this. These are all end grains.
Okay, now we have a straight edge on the cutting board that we're going to cut one side of it perfectly square with the ends to get ourselves started on a rectangle.
Okay, we have the cutting board that we have one square edge on it, square with the ends, and we're going to cut the other one parallel to that on the table saw. So we have set it up. While we are taking the cutting board back down to the planer to plane it again, we're going to take a little tour of the workshop. All right, we are back. And we have a planed board, nice and smooth. Good. And our next step on this board is going to be that we're going to do a little bevel on the edge. And the bevel is done with a router. Now after we've beveled the edges, we're going to do some light sanding on this, just to kind of make sure that everything is nice and smooth, perfectly smooth. Now that we're sanded, we'll dust this off, get as much sawdust off of it as possible. Then we will take a tack cloth and get off any of the residual dust, get this as clean as possible. We are going to oil the board now with some food grade mineral oil. When we oil this, it will bring out some color and make this thing look beautiful. Now you can really tell the difference in the color from the not oiled yet to the oiled. Very nice transition here into an oiled surface. We will continue. And now we have our finished walnut end grain cutting board.